What's going on, guys? Today we're going over the best teams in the nation, special teams performances from the spring games to see what's going on with them. Some of them have some real questions. If I don't go over a team, it's typically because not much is changing, or they just didn't really show too much special teams. This is going to be the case for Georgia fans. Don't freak out. It's not that your team's not good. They just had like one punt. So that was it. Anyway, let's get right into it, starting off with a team that is struggling right now, and that is Clemson. So the nicest thing I can really say about Clemson, first and foremost, there was a weather factor that affected some of these punts, but primarily who it seems like they're leaning towards at this very second was BT Potter, the man that you just watched drop the snap on that punt, inevitably getting it blocked. And you think, oh, he dropped a snap? How can you get worse than that? There's no way that they would not start somebody else over him, but just wait. You'll see. Anyway, so he comes out, he hits a couple decent ones, but he doesn't really show really all that for a leg. And honestly, he's a very strong NFL hopeful for kicking, and I would hate to see him to force him to punt because that would only mess him up. But aside from that, he didn't really hit that many impressive punts. He had a couple fair catch. Well, everything was a fair catch, but he had a couple that would probably be fair catches in a regular game. He also kind of shanked a couple and hit some with some pretty bad direction, ultimately leading to the other team getting some pretty good field position in what was an otherwise sloppy game with no offensive mobility going on whatsoever. His inside the 20 punts could probably use a little bit of work. All in all, he just seems like maybe a good, solid backup punter for Clemson to have in case anything happens to what hopefully they're bringing in to be a future punter that can replace him before the season starts. This brings up to the next punter, which is Aiden Swanson, who had a couple of good punts, was able to hit a further ball. Unfortunately, his direction leaves a little bit to be desired, and as you're watching on screen right now, he also dropped a snap, but this time he dropped it, caught it, and then it fell out of his hands after he kind of already had a grip on it. I'm not sure if the ball was just wet, but I would imagine this is something pretty embarrassing, and I can tell Dabo Swinney is maybe not super high on him, especially going into the very last punt he had. There was a very brisk breeze, maybe 20 to 30 miles an hour. He hits a punt, it's never going to be great with that kind of wind, and Dabo kind of lays into him a little bit. So I know they're bringing in a freshman punter this year. Let's hope he can take over. Let's get into the next team, which is Oklahoma, and check up on our boy Michael Turk to see how he's doing.
I'm very proud of you. Line drive, booming punt. How about this? Out of bounds, inside the 5 at the 1-yard line, Michael Turk.
With everything else at OSU being a toss-up between starting quarterbacks and a new coach, there's one solid piece that you can rely on, and it's Michael Turk. It looks like he's doing pretty good, so I'm pretty excited to see what else this man's going to be able to bust out this year, but this is probably one of the best spring game punts I've ever seen. Well, let's get right into the next group, which is Michigan, the next solid punter to check out. And I say that because everybody at Michigan seems to be kicking out of their mind. This first punt that I saw was an absolute nuke. The backup seemed to be hitting pretty solidly as well, and their starter, Brad Robbins, has always been a consistent unit for them in this department. So I guess what I'm trying to tell to the Michigan fans here is that you guys seem to be in pretty good hands, and I'm excited to see how things unfold after Brad goes to the NFL just next year. So this is going to bring us into a school that I've been pretty curious about, and that is Alabama. And a big reason for that is because James Burnip last year, the Alabama punter, was one of the lowest performing in the SEC, if not the actual lowest performing. So I was interested to see which ways that they would really challenge him and push him to develop in this spring, being his second spring here. So what I was able to see is that he was able to hit a couple more spirals than it looked like he was willing to hit in games, and he was hitting them a lot better than he hit in games last year. However, his uptime in this spring game performance was pretty low, so it really causes me to question how much this is going to translate into next year. It's something we'll have to keep an eye on, but at least they're forcing him to come out and kick spirals on a somewhat regular basis. And the last team that we're going to talk about is the Ohio State, and their punting situation looks awfully similar to last year's punting situation with Jesse Mirko at the helm and Michael O'Shaughnessy as his backup, which he has been a backup for 4 years now. So Michael might use this opportunity to transfer out, have the chance to play somewhere else, or as a true OSU red-blooded individual, he might just stay for his last season, but Jesse Mirko looks like he's going to be taking over for this year as well, as he took a majority of the reps in the spring game. Their situation looks, like I said, pretty much the same. He's hitting solid, nothing that really blows me away though, so we'll be seeing how he develops across his next 4 years, because it seems like they're pretty comfortable with him being the starter. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think. Which spring game should I look at next, if there's anything to look at, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and peace.
Incumbent starter Jesse Mirko, second-year punter from Australia, who boots it away. Oh, they couldn't get to him.